Today on the Flagship Show on the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. Today, you'll hear another show programmed by you. This is the third Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast, All Request Special, and it begins now.
On the web since 1996, this is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Flagship Show here on the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. My name is Eric Woods. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed today's program. As today, it's our third Patreon All Request show. All the requests you're going to hear on the show come from Cinematic Sound Radio patrons. So, if you want to participate in the next All Request show, then head over to patreon.com/Cinematic Sound Radio. There you can sign up in the orchestrator tier, which will allow you the privilege of participating in this very show. Again, check it all out at patreon.com/Cinematic Sound Radio. Our next request comes from Thomas Tinneny. Hi, Eric. I'd like to request the track The Ice Road by Max Aruj. 2021 gave us quite a few high-paced action scores. Max's The Ice Road was the first I listened to, and it stayed with me throughout the year. It's a score for a Netflix action film that knows exactly what kind of movie it is. The music gives us a number of character themes while maintaining a high energy throughout. Just pure fun for me. Thanks again, Tom. Here's your request, Tom. This is The Ice Road by Max Aruj. Max Aruj's The Ice Road. Our next request comes from Andreas Wennmyr. Here's what he has to say. Hi, Eric. For this third all-request show, I've chosen a track from a highly underrated film and maybe an even more underrated soundtrack. It's from Jerry Goldsmith's score to the 1997 movie The Edge. Great choice, Andreas. This is one of my all-time favorite Jerry Goldsmith scores. It's a very personal score for me as well, and maybe one day I'll go into the reasons why, but I am so excited that you have picked this track. Andreas continues. The film stars Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin, both in their prime. A short summary of the plot for those who haven't seen it. 3 men struggle to survive in the Alaskan wilderness. After a plane crash, to make it even worse, they have a bloodthirsty Kodiak bear at their heels trying to hunt them down. The track I want to play is called Rescued. It's a wonderful track with a main theme led by horns, strings, and a touch of ominous flute and woodwinds. I really recommend listening to the rest of the soundtrack. It's a classic 90s type of score, which is right up my alley. Goldsmith's golden era. It's wonderful, adventurous, emotional, and it has some spine-tingling horror elements as well. I know the limit is 5 minutes, and this is a 5-minute and 59-second track, but you can fade it out at 5:02 since there's a short break at that point. Don't worry about it, Andreas. I'll let this slide this time. Thanks for a great podcast and for letting us share our personal favorites. Best regards from Sweden, Andreas Wennmyr. Andreas, again, fantastic selection. Here is Rescued. This score's brilliant, but Andreas is right. This track just is an emotional gut punch. It's the finale cue from the film, and I am more than happy to play music from Jerry Goldsmith's The Edge. Rescued from The Edge, released in 1997, score by Jerry Goldsmith. Our next request comes from Jeffrey Graebner. Here's what he has to say. Hi, Eric. My pick is from John Barry's The Black Hole, and assuming you'll be okay with 2 consecutive tracks that add up to less than 5 minutes. So I'll pick Overture and main title. Again, if there's a couple other people that are able to kind of bend the rules, I'm going to let you bend the rules for this show. Jeffrey, no worries. Jeffrey continues. This is the film where I truly first noticed and fell in love with a score. I was 10 years old when the movie came out in 1979, and still in that phase where Disney movies dominated my movie-going. My record collection included quite a few of the Disney song albums that were common back then, and a few albums from movie musicals, but that was about it for soundtracks. The Black Hole was one of the last major movies to feature an overture that played against a dark screen even before the studio logo. In this case, Barry provided a big brassy fanfare which instantly caught my attention in a way that hadn't happened at a movie before. It then proceeds to the main title, which is also the film's dominant musical theme, which is a dark and mysterious theme that clearly establishes the uneasy mood of the film. As we left the theater, I immediately asked my father to take me to a record store so I could get the soundtrack, a request he found surprising as he reminded me there were no songs in the movie. I knew exactly the music that I wanted from the movie, though. Having seen the film itself again more recently, I see its major shortcomings, but Barry's score completely holds up, and I feel like the movie itself was kind of a gateway to more serious films for me. Addressing the elephant in the room, the film was obviously Disney's answer to Star Wars, and I'm sure that greatly influenced the decision to open with a fanfare. But Barry isn't copying John Williams, and of course, the rest of the score is pure John Barry. I was thrilled when Entrada released the expanded album. I did see Star Wars during its initial run, but I was perhaps just a bit too young for it, and mostly found it confusing. I'm sure that's why its score didn't impact me the same way. Of course, The Empire Strikes Back came out just a few months after The Black Hole, and that was the second score LP I purchased, following quickly by the original Star Wars, which I loved after seeing it again at a re-release. Like other score fans around my age, John Williams dominated my early collecting, and Williams would be my choice if I was pressed to pick a favorite composer. John Barry and The Black Hole were my starters, though, and still mean a great deal to me. Thanks again for all of the effort you put into cinematic sound. I've lost count how many great scores I've discovered through your show, and I'm proud to help out as a patron. Sincerely, Jeffrey Graebner. Jeffrey, a wonderful, wonderful note. Thank you very much for sharing that wonderful story, and I'm sure all of our listeners listening to this program are going to find it inspiring and relatable. So here for you, 2 tracks that add up to 5 minutes. This is the overture and main title from John Barry's The Black Hole. Music from the 1979 film The Black Hole. Music composed by John Barry. That was the overture and main title.
On the air and streaming on the web since 1996, this is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
Up next, a request from Joe Wiles. Here's what Joe has to say. Hello, Eric, and my Cinematic Sound Radio family. I hope this note finds you all well. I'd like to dedicate my selection to your patron-exclusive all-request show to my mom. In the summer of 1983, my mom and I had taken an overnight visit to her mom, my grandma's house. Mom and I lived on a tight budget, and any time we wanted to slip away for a bit of a scenery change, we would visit Grandma for the weekend. I have fond memories dragging Star Wars figures and Lego back and forth over that time. One day on occasion during our time there in 1983, my mom was trying to coerce me to start reading more. She said, "I bought you a book, it's right up your alley," she explained, "and I hear it's being made into a movie and will come out next year." As curious as I was, I still wasn't into putting in that kind of work, so we ended up reading it together over that summer. I would read a page and then she would read the next. I remember finally getting to see the movie in the theater that next summer. As we were driving home, I said to my mom, the movie was different in places compared to the book. I remember her explaining how most books were much better than the movie they represented, mostly due to cost and time constraints. I miss how simple life was for me back then. I don't think this story is anything new or unique. Everyone has these memories like this, but I just wanted to share a bit of a backstory as to why I'd like to request the main title to Craig Safan's The Last Starfighter from 1984. Thanks, Mom, for dropping knowledge when I thought I knew everything, and you let me think I did. Thanks, Eric. Congrats on all your continued success. Joe. Joe, you keep on telling those stories. I absolutely love them. And your request is a brilliant one. Here's the main title from Craig Safan's classic score to The Last Starfighter. the main title from Craig Safan's The Last Starfighter, released in 1984. Next request is a quickie, Max Hamulyak. He's back. And I really hope you enjoyed his Patreon playlist show that we had on the network a few months back. Here's what he has to say. Hi, Eric. I hope you're well. And Max was a little late in getting his request in, so he apologized for the delay in getting the request to me. And again, no problem. I'm just happy that he got a chance to make a request. So he selected James Horner's Jake's First Flight from Avatar. He said that he wanted to pick this one because it is the one that he had to leave off from his playlist show. So this time it gets a chance to be heard. No problems, Max. Here is Jake's First Flight from Avatar, with music by James Horner. That was Jake's First Flight from Avatar, with music by James Horner. Our next request comes from Al Brown. Here's what he has to say. Hello, Eric. I hope you're doing well. The track I'd like to request for show number 3 is A Game of Croquet from the film The Theory of Everything by the late, great Johann Johannsson. I often go to this score many times on repeat because it's so short and sweet when I need something that will keep my creative side of my mind stimulated as I work on analytic reports and or study for my certifications. As always, thank you for your continued efforts. Alphonse. Pearland, Texas. I hope I can call you Al. Thank you very much for your request. Here is A Game of Croquet from The Theory of Everything by Johann Johannsson. A Game of Croquet from The Theory of Everything by Johann Johannsson.
You're listening to the Flagship Show on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network with your host, Eric Woods.
Our next request comes from a new patron, Rudy Amaya. Here's what Rudy has to say. Thank you for taking my late request. It's Waiting by Jerry Goldsmith from the movie Rudy. And it's not because it has my namesake. It's a beautiful song among others in this soundtrack in which I really enjoy the oboes. On another note, where have I been that I have never heard of your podcast? I love film music of all kinds and have a very large collection. Can't wait to be part of your community. Keep up the great work, Rudy Amaya. Rudy, honestly, it doesn't matter when you discover the show. I'm just glad you discovered the show. And also, not just for discovering the show, but then also feeling the need that you want to support the program by being a patron. And it really means the absolute world to me that you and the rest of our Cinematic Sound Radio patrons are here for the show and supporting it. So welcome to the Cinematic Sound radio family. Again, I'm so glad that you discovered the program, and I'm so glad that you signed up so that you can get your request in. This is Waiting by Jerry Goldsmith from Rudy. That was Waiting from the film Rudy by Jerry Goldsmith. We've now come to the end of our third Cinematic Sound Radio Patreon All Request show. Our last request comes from Will Welch, and this is what he has to say. Hi, Eric. After the second All Request show, I knew what I wanted to request next and hadn't yet sent the email when something happened to change that. I'm emailing today in mid-December. Yes, it's been that long since I've had this, and I'm sorry, everybody, for delaying this show. Anyway, Will sent this email in mid-December, and having recently seen the newest Spider-Man film at the cinema recently, I have been listening again to some of the other scores from Spider-Man films. Just so happens that today, I decided to listen to the Amazing Spider-Man score. And I had actually forgotten how much I enjoyed it, in particular the wonderful main theme. I tweeted that I was listening to and enjoying the score, and in comparison to a lot of my other tweets, my Twitter blew up. It seems that there was a lot of love out there for this score, and I didn't know that. I think part of the issue is that the first two Elfman scores are classics. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 score is by Zimmer, who always gets talked about. And the new 3 films have scores by Giacchino, which are decent efforts. So in amongst all of these, Christopher Young's Spider-Man 3 gets a bit lost, and James Horner's score for The Amazing Spider-Man definitely gets lost. It sounds heroic and fitting for the character, and has wonderful emotion in the orchestration. Few superhero scores at this time genuinely had this much emotion. The main theme is very memorable, and the score deserves the love Twitter folks gave it. Once this had happened, I knew that Eric had a suite on his own YouTube channel of music from the score. I had a thought that maybe I would request that. Eric, on the other hand, sent me a tweet saying, wasn't a fan of the score as a whole, but man, did I ever love that theme. I love it so much that I decided to create a Horner Spider-Man suite to feature the theme as much as possible. I think the suite that Eric put together is superb and well worth listening, so I asked Eric if he would be happy to play the suite on his show, and he said he would. Therefore, we will now hear a suite from The Amazing Spider-Man, composed and conducted by James Horner. Enjoy. Thanks. Will in the UK. So yes, we are going to play this suite, and again, we're bending the rules a bit. This one is close to 10 minutes long, and I don't think I've played it on the show before. I know I've played a show where I have presented some of the suites that I have created, but this is one that I'm really, really happy with. And one of the reasons why I put it together again was because I'm not a huge fan of James Horner's score as a whole, but that theme just really clicked with me. And every time I heard it, I really felt something. Will is right. Such an emotional score and an emotional main theme. So I knew I had to put something together that I would just want to listen to about 10 minutes worth, but just featuring that theme as much as possible. And so I did so, and that's the track we're going to finish the show with. So Will, fantastic request. And with that, I thank you all for listening to this program. I want to thank my patrons for supporting the show and participating in this program. Again, the All Request Show is one of my favorites to produce, and it's just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger every time I present the All Request program. The All Request Show number 4 will come out in a few months, and that's going to be produced by Jason Drury, and we will have more information about how you can make a request for that show, and there is a theme to it. We'll have that up on the Cinematic Sound Radio Patreon, again at patreon.com/Cinematic Sound Radio, and you will get all the information there once I post it. So that's it. And until next time, folks, wherever you are in this world, take care and happy listening. Thank you for listening to the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. I want to thank Tim Burton for providing his voice for all the bumpers you hear throughout the program, and to David Coscina for providing Cinematic Sound Radio's theme music. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. You can find us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And wherever you're listening to us today, please take a moment right now to leave us a rating and a review of the podcast. You can get a Cinematic Sound Radio t-shirt at our TeePublic store. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinematicsoundradio. And don't forget to check us out on the web at cinematicsound.net.